Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Yo.
This is how we like to do it.
Oh,
What's the deal, yo?
oh. What's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the 100 of Real Talk Podcast, brought to you by Research TV. Y'all go click that link, like it, share the video, help us out. It's for the home team. Today we're gonna discuss the Willie Lynch letter. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to our culture, and we want to talk about how it affects us still. So we're gonna get into that today, and it probably go everywhere, but we're gonna dig into it. Anybody want to start it?
Well, I personally feel like it's very relevant, like even now for it to be so long ago. Just it's so many of his methods like still apply, in my opinion. I know whenever you research it, it's a lot of stuff. It says stuff about like, is it real? Is it a hoax? But I don't feel like it's a hoax, only because just even the part where he talks about putting the light skin against the dark skin, the male against the female. Like even now, it's still male against female. So it really applies, in my opinion. I think it's a lot.
How do you think it relates, Brittany?
How does it relate? Okay. So like even in our community, a lot of our families, like, well, a lot of times our families are not together. I feel like whenever he, like on the part where it says something like, you take the strongest male in the plantation and then you get all the slaves together and you put ties one arm and one leg to one mule and the other to the other, and you rip them apart in front of everybody. I feel like that in the slave's mind is like, if you're a man, you don't need to be strong. Like, don't be strong. If you're a strong man, this is what they're gonna do to you. I feel like, so maybe the mothers kind of taught their boys to be weak. You know, not to live up to their full masculinity. You know what I'm saying? So like even like going forward, like you get like even now, I ain't gonna say men are weak, but I don't feel like a lot of men live up to their full, like they're not the men that they could be, because for so many years it's been this mentality of, you know, like if you strong, then like something's gonna happen to you. It's not good. Like you're gonna be punished for being strong. Even when it comes to like the women's rights, and they pull black women into that little movement and start giving women jobs, and like it's still the same mentality as the man is not supposed to be strong. So that's what I mean by it's still relevant, or one of the examples, if that makes sense.
Of how it relates?
Yeah.
I think so. What do y'all think?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just listening. I think even though it could be relevant and you could find a way that it applies to your family or your community, I think the way you address it is what really matters. So if there was a guy named Willie Lynch, if he did write a letter, and even if it was factual, I think the way the way myself and my family first, and then my community addresses, is what makes it different. So if someone who's not even a part of my community or culture, and I know it could be from years of ingraining it, I don't even think that's correct, but it could be years of putting it in someone's head. If my family or my culture allow it to have that power, I can't be mad at them for making a suggestion. I should be more focused on my family, not allowing people from the outside to have that much influence within my house. So in regards to in regards to, you know, the dark skin against light skin, regardless of who started it, as long as I don't allow my household, my family, or my community to continue that foolish battle, I think we'll succeed. And we may not, quote unquote, succeed in every area of life, but as long as we don't allow those suggestions from an oppressor or our enemy, I think we could succeed.
Yeah, but a lot of times, I think a lot of people practice this and don't even know they're doing it because it's been ingrained for so long. Like,
That's
it's
what I was
part
gonna
of
ask
it's
if
like
you thought
a
it was
part
ingrained.
of just the way you are, because it's like you said, ingrained. You know what I'm saying?
And I put a
so
lot
you
of
could
that.
do that and not even know.
And I put a lot of that back on our families and communities, because if someone comes to you and they say, you're an ugly person, who in your family or your community reaffirms you to let you know what they're saying is not true, rather than let you continue that misunderstanding.
Okay. So, what happens to the girl? I'm going to use a female, for example. So, what happens to the girl to where, oh, somebody calls her ugly, or somebody says her hair is nappy, or something like that?
Right.
Because it was a part of the fine hair and the nappy hair, right?
Right.
Or coarse hair.
Right.
Okay, so now it's called good hair.
Right.
So, if someone says, oh, she's ugly and she got nappy hair,
Right.
but her mother feels like she got nappy hair and she ain't attractive, and her mother felt like it too, like that means you would have to blame, like.
So I just want to make sure this is on camera. Some people are really ugly. It's not a lie. Some people really are ugly, and some people really have nappy hair. That's not a lie. But at the same time, just because you felt like you was ugly and you felt like your mama was ugly, that's not a generational lesson that
I'm
you
not
want
saying
to.
that she feels like her, but what if her mother? What I'm saying is,
If there's not someone there
not
to
somebody
instill the
there to
beauty.
instill that. Oh, you shouldn't look like, you shouldn't listen to that.
So
like, it's so many.
as our dear brother Kat has said, it's called self-esteem.
Okay.
If you sitting here calling me ugly, and like you said, let's say there's no one at home or there's no one in my community to reaffirm that, that's a personal battle that I'm gonna have to take on to be strong enough. And I know everyone is not strong enough to endure certain trials, but at the same time, you could say I'm the dumbest person in the world, and I have a choice. Either I believe it or I don't. So moving forward, if I know you bullied me and you called me dumb for 12 years of my life, when I have a seed, I want to make sure my seed doesn't endure someone bullying them or picking on them the way that I did. So again, whatever was said in the letter, and although it does ring to have some truth to the letter, I put a lot of responsibility back on my family as well as my community. Like, that's my personal opinion.
I just love your accountability, Neil. You're just always
Didn't
willing
happen
to
overnight,
take-
I promise you that.
I mean, I'm sure it didn't, but you're just always willing to take the accountability onto yourself or your family or your community, which I definitely think is important and valuable. But I think the first thing is recognizing that it's even there. So, like, for people who have not read the Willie Lynch letter, y'all definitely should. And I know when I read it, of course, being in the Black community, immediately I felt things that resonated with me, you know. And I can't think of the book, but I read a book, I want to say it was like the European slave trade or whatnot, but long story short, it talked about how, like, when slavery started, like, even in like the 1400s, because, you know, originally it was like Arab people was still like from East Africa and stuff, and then they put the European people on, because y'all know when slavery started, the European like culture didn't have that much money, or it wasn't the Western culture that it is today. And so from the time that it started in like the different places in Africa to the time of like the 1600s, people who lived in the areas who were being captured started teaching their children at a young age of like how to protect themselves if they were captured, what to do if their parents were captured. And so one of the things that resonated with me in the book is it took a story of a girl from the time she was captive or taken captive in Africa all the way till she was brought in America. And it seems very simple, but the different details that it goes into about the things she experienced, just being taken to like the Ivory Coast, to getting on the ship, to landing in America. When she landed, there was a sentence in the book that said that she knew that her DNA would be changed forever just from that. So then when you take into account the actual, you know, what was it, 400 years or whatever of actual slavery, I feel like you can pick out certain things in the Willie Lynch letter that you can like put a finger on, like, oh, I deal with this, or my family's dealt with this, or whatever. But then there are some things, like Brittany says, that I feel like just inherently are ingrained within us, and to even figure it out, you do have to be aware of it. But when you're aware of it, I think that's when your accountability comes into play. But I still think that there's a fine line with that, because just because you teach your family or your kids, you know, that color and stuff doesn't matter, because I didn't grow up in a household where I knew anything about dark versus light. My family and my grandmother's dark, and I didn't even realize a lot of this stuff until I got into like high school. Like really, you know, saw her as like, oh, she's a dark skin. Like she just, that stuff, I just never grew up with that kind of stuff. But Chris Rock made that movie Good Hair or whatever. And the reason he made it, he made a movie called Good Hair. And the reason he made it was because his daughter came home from school saying that someone was making fun of her hair for being nappy. So like, even though he didn't raise her to be, you know, to view her hair that way, or to look at herself and see something bad, whatever, when you go into the real world, like Brittany said, you're interacting with people who are not going to be like you. And so taking accountability is a part, but then I think learning how to like separate it and, you know, teach just younger people, whatever.
And I totally hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing at all. I will say, as a, I consider myself to be, and I also identify myself as a man of faith. So with that also comes morals and ethics. So I think some part of what we go through is because a lack of certain morals or ethics.
I totally agree.
Even though there's a saying that says, don't become the person that hurt you. So there may come a time in our lives where we may be met with oppression, but at the same time, if you have a certain level of morals or ethics, you don't fight it the way that they fight it. And I guess what I'm saying is, I agree, when something has been a part of your lifestyle for centuries and you still do it, a lot of things you do without knowing even why you do it. But then again, I think that's where teaching and faith and morals and ethics, that's where that plays a big role in you becoming healed as an individual. So I believe as a culture, as a people, as a nation, like we have a lot of healing to do individually. Yes, spiritually, but like just like, this is my sister, this is my brother, this is my sister. So I would never want to inflict pain on you intentionally, because you are my sister, you are my brother, you are my sister. So regardless of what is put in a letter, if I'm true to my principles and I'm true to my morals and I'm true to my ethics, which is the makeup of who I am, there's no letter that could ever be written that would turn me against my sister, my brother, my sister, my morals, or my principles. So with that being said, I think sometimes we have to rise above. And I know certain people be like, you know, I'm tired of the positive speech and I'm tired of being the bigger person, the mature person. But until we're on a plane where we can move effectively as one, it's gonna take. We will have to lose a few battles to win the war. So there will be some casualties of war, and you want to minimize those, but at the same time, you have to identify your oppressor per se, because if we're still talking about the Willie Lynch letter, I would view that as an oppressor. So you have to identify the tools and the weapons that your oppressor is using against you. So once I receive that knowledge, if my community isn't aware of the oppressor, I feel like I feel like I have a responsibility to make them aware. And if they just want to be oblivious and be ignorant to the fact, that's their choice, and I can't fault them. But at the same time, I don't allow them to hinder our progress as we attempt to move forward. So I just feel as though we as a community, we as a family, we as a people, we have a lot to do for ourselves.
I totally agree.
I agree too.
Like Brittany, when you were talking about the the men and stuff, and you said that it made the women not, like, you felt like it made women not want to make their men strong. And I feel like it created a fear. Like, I feel like, you know, when you see like a young black man and a young white boy, are they really raised with the same type of like encouragement that like you can, you know, you can literally be and succeed to whatever you want to? Or like younger black guys even at today told, well, you can succeed, but don't dress like that, or don't walk here this time of night with this on, or whatever, you know. So I think it definitely relates to that. The light skin, dark skin thing, I mean, I guess
Let me say this.
I don't really have a bone in the fight because I feel like I'm brown skinned, so.
But the fact you identify yourself as a different, like you made a category for you specifically.
Brown skin?
Yes.
Because we come in all different shades. So, like, when I think light skin, I think of super light. And then when I think of dark skin, I think of, like, really dark.
I got you. But at the same time, that is something that could be used against you. So if a person yelled out, you know, all them dark-skinned people and they're ugly, you say, well, he ain't talking about me because I'm brown-skinned. Be that as it may. If he just said all the people of color are ugly, and then you're like, oh, well, now I'm included. Like, he was really talking about you the first time.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like, that just was my personal thing. But,
Right.
like, I had a friend, she's light, bright, damn near white. Excuse me. But she was lighter than me. And so I was, like, at a club, and a dude literally referred to me as the dark-skinned friend. And I'm like, I'm not dark-skinned, but, you know, because I'm darker than her, that's where I was put. But if I'm, like, a darker-skinned person, then I may be considered light-skinned. So, like, that's, I don't know. I just don't.
So this is what would be
troubling. Because I feel like dark skin and light skin people have their, like, I have friends who are light skinned who feel some type of way if somebody's like, oh, are you mixed? Or are your parents half white? Or I don't relate to that because nobody really asked me if I'm mixed like that.
Okay.
And then dark skinned people feel some type of way about just being dark skinned. And I don't really relate to that, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. My thing is, what is somewhat troubling to me is that we're having a conversation in regards to your skin tone, but yet your oppressor, they're identified as one unified race. You get what I'm saying? So while they're able to come together as this one unified race, we're discussing what shade you fit in regards to a unified race. You get what I'm saying? So instead of strategizing, we're discussing something that could be discussed at a later time, per se. Get what I'm saying?
Which is a result of what he said in the letter.
Correct. So that's why I said if I address her, this is my beautiful sister, this is my brother, this is my sister, it eliminates some of the small battles that we would have to address.
Right.
So if I
we as a people, we have to get on the level that you're talking about.
If I respect myself and I respect you, it's gonna be hard for me to. I feel like if I have a certain level of respect for myself, I'm gonna have a certain level of respect for you also.
Right.
So it's gonna make it very challenging for me to attack you, because in a sense, I'm gonna feel like I'm attacking myself.
Right.
But even this is kind of different in regards to the slave mentality. And I know my fellow brothers and sisters who enjoy this delicate dish are going to disagree with me. But chitlins, that was something let's say that is something people ate because they didn't have anything else. Like, you didn't really have a choice. They gave you what you thought was slop, but you made the best of it. So in the same sense, you took a bad situation and you used it to survive until you could do better. But yet, we oftentimes just keep eating chitlins when we could really eat high on the hog instead of eating the crap of the hog. So if you take the same experience in regards to them giving you something bad, and we as a culture, we as a people, we've always made the best of a bad situation. We have to do that continually, and it doesn't mean it's fair, doesn't mean it's right, but we have to find a way to survive and excel. That's just my personal perspective.
I just feel like we need to find a way to reach people, right?
Right.
So we can be on, like I said, the level that you're talking about, because you are on a whole different level. I'm on a different level. She's on a different level.
Right.
People are on different levels, right?
Right.
Because even with the whole, like, even now, okay, you got this gang, that gang, and we
Right.
don't like each other because we in a different gang, or
Okay.
because you from such and such or whatever.
Right.
Just like the put this plantation against this plantation,
Right.
the big ones against the small ones.
Right.
The same thing, right? But if I go to somebody who is in a gang and they don't like such and such because they in this gang,
Right.
they ain't gonna really think of it as the will, like, oh, it's the same thing. Like, they're not going to relate it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to figure out a way to reach these people to get them at
Right.
least
So
wanting to be on the level that you're on.
So
Because it's really easy to talk about. Like, it's really easy to say, we need to come together. We need to do this. We need to value ourselves so I can value my brother, my sister. But everybody don't respect you and don't respect themselves. So
right.
how do we do that? Like,
so there's a saying that says, a house divided will not stand. Mm-hmm. So if we're divided, of course we're not going to stand. So they use the divide and conquer method, which seems to be successful. So I believe we definitely have to have a meeting of the minds, even in regards to gang activity. I'm not even opposed to gang activity if it serves your community. And I'm not saying to the point of, oh, you like blue and I like red, so we at each other. No, if you're protecting your community and you don't let people who distribute narcotics illegally interfere with your community in the regards of your community being strong, being healthy, being a safe zone. Like, kids are not even in a position that they could live a life as a kid. Like, they can't play in the street, they can't play at the park because it's straight bullets, and then it's needles here, and it's cocaine here, and it's crack here. So if there's a gang that says, on this block to this block, we're not going to have these activities. We're not even going to have public drunkenness. We're not going to have open containers. Like, we're not going to have drugs here. Mm-hmm. Like, if your gang is going to do that to protect your community, to protect the women from being raped, to protect the kids from being kidnapped, I'm with that. But at the same time, we have to reach them, because oftentimes when somebody is acting a fool, it's either one of our family members or somebody that we can reach. So when I say somebody we can reach, it's four of us here. So if she was acting a fool, I may not have her number, but I know you, and I know you, and you probably got her number. So one of us could be a voice of reason and let her at least have a conversation. And if a conversation is not going to solve everything, but it could help a whole lot. So I may not be able to change her mind if she's about to do something foolish, whether she's about to commit an armed robbery or she's about to retaliate for someone who's hurt her family. I may not be able to persuade her otherwise, but I can let her know that she's loved. I can let her know that her family loves her. I can let her know that she's important to us. She's not just the individual just out here all alone. So my thing is like, we have to find, and we have to be creative. It's 2018, there's technology, there's many of distractions, there's people who work all the time. They don't always have free time. There's people who maybe don't have family. They may be living in a certain area and they feel like it's just them. So we have to be creative, but at the same time, I think I don't think it will happen overnight, but I think we could at least put forth the effort. That's my take on it.
Well, I would like to say what you said about the gangs. Originally, that's what they were for.
Right.
Like it wasn't just like, oh, we hate each other. It wasn't like it at first. It kind of, the Willie Lynch syndrome got thrown in there and made it that way. Okay, I would like to say that, but I know that you say that if somebody's about to do something, or I know them, I can reach them. It's a lot of people. A lot of people don't care.
Right. So they need therapy. They need help. We need to encourage them. There's nothing wrong with getting therapy. I want to go just to see what they say about me.
I think sometimes you just have to reach people where they're at. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I feel like I know when and you can just do what you can do. You know what I'm saying? Right. So like
and that's all we ask, to do your part.
Yes.
In your community, do your part. Excuse me.
And just like reaching people where they're at, because like you remember I stopped eating pork when I was like 18, like right after I graduated. Of course, everybody was looking at me crazy. My family was like, "Oh, she's Muslim," you know, whatever. Right. But, anyways, so I don't eat chitlins. Mm-hmm. Nonetheless, I personally don't. Like if someone's eating them, I'm like, "Oh, why are you eating that?" You know, like it's from slavery, blah blah. Because for the simple thing, like I said, when I read that book, like I just feel like that there are certain things in our culture here as like Black people that are just a part of who we are, you know, like we may be descendants from a lot of different nations or whatever the case may be, but we ourselves are individual to our own circumstances and what we experience here in America, you know. Agreed. So like I feel like chitlins is a part of that. So I'm not going to personally like you know, I'm not gonna sit here and lecture somebody if they want to eat chitlins. Right. You know, y'all know where it come from. Like, take part in it. So
you're not gonna say nothing.
No.
Because then when they get high blood and then they need an operation, they're going to ask you for money.
Okay, but again,
or they're going to ask for a ride
Black
to the hospital.
people are prone to hypertension, which leads to diabetes, high blood pressure, all of that stuff. And that could be table salt. So chitlins, table salt, whatever. Like, I'm just saying, no, I'm not. It's not my place. That's why I said I feel like you got to reach people where they're at. I think a lot of times with people who quote unquote call themselves conscious or woke, we a lot of times try to, it comes off as though we're trying to like push our beliefs or our whatever, when really what we're trying to do is just educate and open the communication. So I feel like a lot of times you got to reach people just where they're at. If somebody's not trying to hear that, sometimes you just...
Well, there's a saying to say, if they don't learn the way you teach, you should teach the way they learn. So, and of course, everybody's not going to get on board. I'll say that. But at the same time, when you say Black people are prone to hypertension, do you think that could be targeted?
I think it has to do with I think it was through slavery because of our diets and stuff, because we didn't have those diets before we were captives or whatever. So then when we were, what we ate, and stress and anxiety, because there are all kinds of different things like the leg syndrome when you sleep. I don't know about y'all, but when I was little, I used to kick my feet around a lot, like just move and wiggle, and my daughter does it too. But I read, and apparently Black people are more prone to that, and I think it's because of like high stress and anxiety when we were sleeping as captives.
You think 200 years ago Black people had high blood pressure?
Do I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I believe I don't think.
So are you familiar with the Tuskegee experiment?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't it have to do with herpes though?
Syphilis.
Oh.
So that was all in the name of free healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually an experiment. So for these people who are part of the experiment, who have this disease. So now, are you saying black people are more prone to syphilis than white people?
Perhaps, but I mean, even if they were experimented on, then that's the reason why, or whatever.
So
you
that's
know what
why
I mean?
that's what I mean when I say is it targeted?
I mean,
Absolutely.
to this day, sure, but I still believe
Right.
it developed over time,
Yeah.
like through our diet and stress and anxiety and everything that we went through and experienced.
I think what Neil's saying is we just gotta do better, y'all. Which I'm all about accountability as well. Like I think that we definitely have to do more for ourselves and for our community. I think it's important that you start at home and then it should spill in to the neighborhood. You know, if you got a violent home, you have violent neighborhoods. If you got a peaceful home, you have peaceful neighborhoods. So accountability is the number one thing, but I definitely won't ignore the elephant in the room. Everything that we go through comes from somewhere. I don't believe problems just pop out of the air. I really believe that it's systematic oppression. I mean, there's so much, but I'm always like, okay, we know it's there, but what are we gonna do about it? And yes, I do believe the Willie Lynch letter. I believe it still applies. I don't really have the answers on what to do about it besides teach who you can, but that who I'm around, they're not interested in it. So you have to like kind of find a way to wake these people up. And I don't mean the like super woke brother who tell you don't eat chitlins or, you know, don't do this or don't do that. But eventually, like, more, we have to hold ourselves accountable more, like Neil is saying, but knowing who the enemy is, and ignorance a lot of time keeps us in a bad spot. And it's literally like people get mad when you say you're ignorant, but I came to learn that I was ignorant to a whole lot, and once I embraced my ignorance, I started doing a lot better.
Knowing.
Right, to not know. So like once you get into your ignorance and you start wanting to know, and the less and less you're ignorant about, I believe you move better, you deal with people better, like you hold accountability better. I say I'm sorry a lot more often. I apologize a lot more often, like, cause I don't know, we just found a sense of pride from what we have to go through all the time. We fighters, we have to figure stuff out, so it gets hard. And then you tie it into daddy not being home. If daddy ain't home, mom at work. So you had to learn to be tough because that motherly love wasn't there and that father wasn't there. So I believe everything ties together. And I do believe accountability is the number one thing. But you can be accountable by reading it and seeing what you can do about it. That's part of being accountable. Not only can you say, hey, you aren't ugly, but you can, like, I don't know, you might can say, hey, I found this in here and this looks a lot like how y'all governing our high school. You see what I'm saying? Why this little black boy can't wear braids at this high school? It sound like the Willie Lynch. That's part of accountability. I'm not just gonna let you send this letter home to my child and not say, I might not get anything done, but I'm gonna bring it to that principal's attention. I feel like it's targeting my son, not y'all sons. You see what I'm saying? So it's just not dry accountability. Like, it's dry accountability sound like it's y'all fault and y'all need to do something about it. Y'all ain't doing shit. That's what most people hear when they hear take accountability. But that's not what accountability means. It's like literally like, what are you gonna do? You see what I'm saying? What are we gonna do? Like, I
think that's important. Like, what are we gonna do?
Like, you know, if you got hit in the mouth when you were young, you go back and you tell your mom you got hit in the mouth. Okay. But what did you do though? You see what I'm saying? Okay, he was wrong, but I'm not finna go. You know, your mama ain't finna go hit that boy.
Yeah.
Man, he might go talk to his mama, but like she mad at you because you didn't do anything about, and you knew somebody wronged you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's all I reckon y'all parents told y'all. Well, I don't know. Y'all was in church. It's different, but
My mom is a caterer.
okay. Well, hit back is most in our culture for the most part. If
Right,
somebody
right,
wrong
right.
you, so it's like from early age we taught to do something about somebody wronging you. We just don't put it like step by step. We just leave it right there. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? Because we'll teach our kids that, but then when they get older and something happens, somebody wrong them, they like make you kind of leave it alone. Like, no, you better not. But no, still be accountable.
Right,
You see what I'm
right,
saying?
yeah.
Like, if somebody wronged you, don't be quiet about that. Go to court, get in these systems, like do something about anything. So I feel you, Neil. I agree. I just don't want it to fall on ears and it be like that Willie Lynch syndrome has nothing to do with it. But
No,
you are right about the accountability.
I believe, like, just looking at it, because I've glanced over it, it has a lot of things that seem like, in a sense, almost biblical, like it was prophetic in a sense. So we as a culture, as a people, as a nation, we have to learn to become, and I'm sure Brandon will like this, Brooks are like this, we have to be proactive instead of reactive. And I know Darnell like that too, but I'm just saying, if we always reacting, we just gonna keep taking L's. So if we look in our communities and we see every day, like, young men are being killed by officers with no recourse, then are we just gonna keep being reactive, or are we gonna become proactive and we're gonna get involved in legislation? We're gonna get involved in our town hall meetings. We're gonna get involved in voting. And I'm not even big on voting, but I'll say in our local communities, I think our votes have more influence and they have more impact. So we're responsible for the people that we vote in. So if we don't like something, we have to stop voting these people in who are not doing anything for our community. So in little old Gallatin, where I live, on the north side, it doesn't seem to be many recreational. And Gallatin's not that big, so you really can't say much, but it doesn't seem to be many recreational facilities or learning facilities for our youth. However, on this, well, at the Civic Center, they just built like this expensive water park, and they want you to come to this water park. So I'm actually doing research. I'm trying to see, I'm really waiting for an election to go forth, and I hope this person gets voted in, so I hope we can make changes on this side of town. But if I don't like the fact that they're putting all the funds...
Well, you gotta say who it is so we can get behind them too. Tell them who it is.
I hope she don't see this and get mad, but I don't know her name. I think it's
That's okay.
her first name starts with a D, and
Oh,
her last name is
DeAndre.
Moore. Right, but I don't know.
DeAndre Moore.
Right, I don't know how to pronounce her first name. Her
That's the
last name is
homegirl.
Moore. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So I hope she wins, and I will vote for the first time in years for her.
Right.
But
Vote for DeAndre.
right. So everybody in the 5th district, 4th district, it's one of the two.
It's
vote
fifth.
for her. 5th. But again,
How do you find your district out?
See?
DeAndre Moore will be
Accountability.
great. Right. But
I'm
listen,
just not. I mean,
My
I
kids
was
is talking about us because I don't know.
I just gained knowledge that she was running.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I sent her a message. Whatever I can do to help, I'm with it. So she's gonna have like a benefit dinner, and it's
Right.
like a shameless plug for her. But she's gonna have a benefit dinner. Please go out and support. But I think she says only like $5, but give more. She needs to win. But all I'm saying is, I don't like that how all the funds that were allocated went to the Civic Center for this park. That they really, in a sense, it just feels, this is how I feel. I'm not saying anyone said
It
it.
ain't out.
Right. You see what I'm saying?
It's not. I mean,
so like,
just call it what it is.
what about the people on this side of town who don't always have a ride to get there, and then if they get dropped off, they gotta walk back over a viaduct, over a bridge, and then this car zooming by. Like, it's a lot for them to go over there, and then they gotta get their parents to drop them off. But if you live in this community, and they could give you some type of learning center or community center, something that you could relate to. Oh, when I was growing up, we had the X, Y, and Z center, and it helped me in my childhood. It helped me with my homework. It was a tutor there for me. It was a mentor there for me. So again, back to the Willie Lynch letter, I think if we give all the power to them and their suggestions or their theories on us, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. So back to the accountability, and like Brandon said, it's not to be a dry accountability, like do what you gotta do and don't worry about them. No, because they are like, in a sense, like the adversary. So you gotta know who your opponent is. You gotta know what you're fighting against. So if somebody is trying to get you out of your home by raising your taxes, knowing you can't afford them, they'll get you out of your home, and then they'll sell the same house to people who don't even look like you, who wasn't even raised there. So the history or the legacy or the heritage that you want to give to your kids or your grandkids, they won't have it because they raised up the taxes on a house that you've already paid for. And if you're on supplemental income, you can't afford the increase, so you're evicted out of your home. So now this area that you grew up in and your kids grew up in, your grandkids won't know that. They won't know that history because you were forced out of your community. So again, that's what I'm saying. Like when he said, what are you going to do? I think that's so important. Like, we definitely have to get involved in our community.
We definitely need to do that, especially with, like you saying, them buying up, buying our houses and all that. We need...
What's it called? Gentrification?
Gentrification.
Yeah.
We need... When I drive through
What's
the city...
definition on that?
Gentrification, pretty much, I mean, just like that. You buy a neighborhood, like a few developers come in, buy it for dirt cheap, and then raise the property tax because
kick black people out,
or whoever.
Kick out the people who live in the urban.
What happens is when you buy a house,
people.
When your community, your neighborhood, and I don't know if y'all knew this either, the school districts,
so
how much money the government gives school districts is determined by the like your neighborhood value or whatever. So you build a nice house, you charge $300,000 for it, so then it sells. So that's an example, and so then they can get the taxes raises. But that also has a lot to do with who you vote for and how they feel on taxes, and stuff like that. That has something directly to do with it.
Yeah, but like even just driving through the city, like on the north side,
because with property taxes, Brittany, you can be grandfathered in, I think, too, with some of that stuff.
You can. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You can, but once they, like you said, let's say we vote in Brandon, and you said you can be grandfathered in. Once he changed the statute for this particular, let's say for Zone 6, I don't even know what the zones are, for Zone 6, this is now the new law per se. So if your taxes go up, There's nothing you can do. This person's already voted in. You get what I'm saying?
But is there nothing you can do? Literally,
there is, but I'm sure there's a certain amount of time in which you have to do something. But if you've been living in a house, let's say for 15, 20 years, and you've always paid this property tax, despite them raising everyone else, I don't know all of the steps, but there is a way to go about keeping your house and continuing to pay what you've paid for that long period of time, without someone else coming in and imposing, unless it is like the government for a reason, like maybe they gonna build something or whatever, like they're the only people who can kind of like a school or something, like the government, not federal government, but I guess state government is really the only people who can kind of do that, whereas what you're talking about has more so to do with like the developers and like the politicians, not them necessarily building something for the community.
Well, I'll come back. I want you to, what was you saying? When you roll through the neighborhood.
Yeah, like even just going through the city or whatever. It's so many like buildings that could be put to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wonder about like who owns that, who, like, so many things it could be.
But that's us, we dreamers. And
Right. And
that's one thing I will say about us, and I hate like knocking us and categorizing us, but I'll just speak frankly, we don't, like, I see our dreams all over TV. I'm like, dude, my partner created that too, but we don't know where to take stuff. We won't call and ask about it. We'll just be like, man, I like that building. And that'll be that. That's the part, that's when that accountability comes back in, where I think we do drop the ball on sometime, cause it's gonna lead me way to George Zimmerman. Like, you get in a fight, like, we have to reach out to the right people, because I would have, if I was there, like my court cases like that I've been involved in, I always like go in and study. I'm not the brightest man in the world, but I'm going through this. Maybe I need to know a little something. Well, they get in a fight, in an altercation, and they literally fighting or whatever, or struggling. Well, by law, most of the time, if you're in a struggle, that's not going to be murder. You see what I'm saying? That's not going to be first degree murder, and that's what they try to charge that man with. And he was not guilty of it legally. He wasn't. You see what I'm saying? You have to know, oh, wait, they charging him with first degree murder? No. I want y'all to charge him with this because he is guilty of this. He's going to get off scot-free if we charge him with first degree murder. That's how these people, like, get
Work
off.
the system.
But yes, they work the system because they charge these cops with murder. No, all he gonna say is he's in fear for his life, and under that statute, you ain't gonna be able to prove that he's a murderer. But you can say that is manslaughter what you did, or involuntary. It might be second degree murder, third degree murder.
I think when you introduce the law into this, and it does play a huge part, I think it's very evident that the law was not put in place to benefit people of color in America. So, again, we have to learn the law. We have to learn the language. We have to learn the codes. Also,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
We cannot have the crabs in a barrel mentality, but we have to bring people up with us, because we could do more together with 4 than I can on my own.
Right.
So,
but we're too prideful to reach out sometimes, or lazy, or whatever you call it. It's like they won't even call.
But I'm saying that starts with us.
Yeah.
Like, let's say if I'm too prideful to say, man, I need help. And if I know you went to school for accounting,
right,
and I'm having issues with my taxes, like, I don't understand why people who have money problems won't get in financial training or get help from a financial guru or whoever. I don't have financial problems, but I pay my bills.
Bread, y'all.
No, I accept. But I don't have financial problems, but I pay my bills. But my mom, she's much better at finances than I am. So, and I know this sounds bad, but I just rather let my mom handle it, my finances. So, because I don't like to deal with that stuff.
That doesn't sound
It's
bad.
annoying.
That's very smart, Neil. And coming from a married woman, 9 times out of 10, that's usually how it works. Anyways, the woman will do your like.
Well, that's not. That's not ideal though. Like
Your
if
mom.
we talking about Gallatin per se.
Right, but I'm saying use the resources you
Yeah,
have.
you're right. I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. But do we have fun? At least the thing about it is reach out or try to find it.
That one girl's an accountant, and
But that's what I'm saying. That one girl. You see what I'm saying? It don't never be.
My sister has a master in business and she has an accountant degree.
You gonna say her name, bro?
Creisha Carey.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, no, that's good.
She's
man.
on Facebook.
I mean, we need all that. That's what I'm saying. Like it be like we'll know, and then that's just it. Ain't nothing after that. Like man, I should have.
Right.
But that's all.
Right.
It don't be no. I'm gonna find this phone number, then I'm gonna take these steps, and I'm gonna make this happen. Like you see how many people went and got their license when the state ruled or the government ruled that they couldn't use court costs to hold your license.
Right.
Why didn't any of us like go looking,
Right.
you know, before we paid all this money, go get our license? Like I paid thousands of dollars for my, and that's what I'm saying, accountability, because I didn't do it. You see what I'm saying? But I should have been looking.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. It can be us going through it, and we still like, whatever happened. We got to get out of that mindset and be more forward thinking,
more intentional with our success.
Yeah, because I was in some particular apartments, and there was a sign on the door, and it said something about some financial classes. October such and such, we're gonna have financial classes in the clubhouse, blah blah blah. And then they went on to say, "Oh, we're gonna give you a discount on your rent if you come." I felt like it was awful that they had to say, like, they're bribing you to come to this financial class.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I feel like if you live in them apartments, you need to go to the financial class. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's awful, and it happens so often.
It is awful, but that is kind of meeting people where they at. What we was talking about. They know, like, a lot of times if you put on an event and you know you got free food or free alcohol, people are gonna show up. Then if you don't,
cool. It ain't
you giving
the
them free
person
rent.
who put up the note that she's barking at. It's just like, why do these people got to do that? You see what I'm saying? Like, apparently, and they knew they had to do it.
We shouldn't have to twist people's arm to help them.
Right.
Like, we're trying to help you, and we have to hurt you to help you. Like, that shouldn't be.
Right, and that's the one thing I can say while we're coming back to accountability. Like, the right things is what we want to tell our people. Like, it's most of the time with us, it's like how you say it, and like I hate that. Right. To me, it's just like, tell me what it is. I said this in the show before, but like, you can call a girl a hoe and she'll get mad at you, but like, you like, girl, you do your thing, you promiscuous, I don't blame you. I see girl, like, you know me, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
right.
But we gotta cut out that
y'all
mentality.
Need to stop lying on y'all social media. Go ahead, bro.
You gotta cut out all that. We gotta be able to just straight talk to each other. Like, I'm not a bullshit. I'm not good at it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I might offend you on an accident because I'm just straight talking. You see what I'm about? Like, we got to, like, at aggression just naturally in us. And that brings me to one more point, y'all, I promise. Like, here's the thing, like, everything's not a lie. Like, black women get mad. I'm on Facebook, used to argue all the time. Black women get mad when they say, well, the white girl do this and the white girl do that, and y'all want this, and y'all mad all the time. And like, I used to hear like black girls be like, we ain't this and such. Well, first of all, y'all are mad, and the fact is, y'all have a reason to be. So it's like, don't even try to defend the fact that you mad. Yeah, I'd be mad too if my father wasn't there. Then I have kids by somebody who ain't there. Then I'm working all the time, and my kids getting on my nerves, and I'm getting 4 hours of sleep. You damn right we mad. So it shouldn't be about, black women are mad. Yeah. They men done failed them. The government done failed them. Everybody around them done failed them. So quit arguing the fact that you mad to. Yes, we mad, but with reason. So that girl might not be mad because she ain't going through what this black woman going through. Do you see how happy income taxes make black women? You see what I'm saying? Like, when that pressure is relieved, you see what I'm saying? Like, it ceases some of that anger that we have, or depression or anxiety. Right. Like, cause that's all we feel is pressure from the time we old enough to realize what we're dealing with. You see what I'm saying?
But so I agree. Go ahead. When you say they have a reason to be angry, upset,
right?
Whatever word you want to put there.
It don't mean take action. Exactly. I'm not saying the action.
I'm saying
okay.
You're allowed to be passionate. Even if you're angry, be passionate.
Right.
But seek help. I know, and it's not just to like black women. This is the people who are hurting.
Right.
Because if she's angry at black men, and I come and I try to love her, she's gonna spew that anger at me.
Right.
Which is gonna cause me to look at her a certain way, and I'm like, I'm trying to help you. Are you stupid? So then now we really got a problem because I used the word stupid. So now it's gonna be almost impossible for me to help her or for her to help me.
Exactly.
So I'm saying get help as an individual, but then on top of that, make sure you don't become the person that hurt you. If you say, well, my mama used to beat me because I didn't do this and then I got pregnant, then my mama kicked me out. Well, if you have a child and your child get pregnant, don't say, well, I'm gonna kick you out because my mama kicked me out. No, we gotta help.
All right.
we gotta love, and I don't know. I just feel like with the Willie Lynch letter, with all the negative passion and all the hatred, we have to combat that in our community with love, with help, with positive vibes and energy. Like, we have to do the opposite of that for our own people. That's how I feel.
I agree. And I think we can all, like, I'm going to ask y'all a question and I'm going to answer it first. But how do y'all think y'all take accountability in your day in, day out? So I'll just let y'all think about that.
You said you want to answer first, right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was just thinking, like, when we was talking about, like, accountability, because a lot of times it's not like, you know, going to vote writing the school district or whatever the case may be. So, you know, I work in property management, and there are like a lot of fair housing laws pretty much that was created because of Black people, because when we look for houses and stuff, like all kinds of stuff. So, you know, everybody knows when you apply for an apartment or whatever, you get screened. So, like, we deal with a lot of that. And, like, the property I work at now would be considered, like, a luxury property. So I don't typically have people who are denied. But I will say the majority of the people who I have had who've applied who were denied have been, like, you know, either didn't have enough credit established or had more debt to income ratio. So I say all of that to say I feel like I take accountability because I put everybody on the same playing field. So, like, I'm not going to, you know, and I'll just be transparent. Like, I think a lot of times, you know, Black people, even when we're dealing with one another, we judge, or just people in general will judge us. Like, you can have a young white boy come into an apartment community, look like he's, I don't know, 23 years old, right? And he's looking at an apartment that's $1,700 a month. Even if you feel like he don't have a job where he makes that much money, you're going to think, what? Oh, his parents got the money. Whereas you have a young Black man who comes in looking at that same apartment, you like, first of all, if he does have the money, he must be an athlete or an entertainer. Two, he probably don't have enough credit established. So let's say they both apply. Let's say they both get denied. So there's a way you can do it. You can contact, you know, the white young man. Hey, you know, you got denied. Different things on different people's score would tell you why you got denied, and they can either get like a co-applicant or like a guarantor, which is like their parents, to push their credit if they don't have enough credit established, pretty much to get them approved. Well, I noticed that, like, in property management, sometimes certain people will get those callbacks to try to get them approved to get into the apartment, but certain people won't. So I make it my accountability, like I said, to put everybody on the same playing field. So if I'm going to call this person back, I'm going to call this person back too, you know? Right. And so that's just how I try to be accountable in the little ways, which, you know, the people I'm helping or working with don't know the, like, specifics, but, like, you could be denied. Like, you could come in and be denied. I could be, just call you, be like, yeah. And when I say denied, I mean, a lot of times, I don't know the last time y'all went to go look for a place, but, like, if you're applying for, like, an apartment or, like, one that I work at, you're going to pay anywhere from, like, $200 to $300 just to apply.
Right.
And moving is a big thing anyway. Mm-hmm. So to pay all that money to then just be denied is frustrating, you know? True. So I, let's say you apply, you get denied. I could just deny you and just, you know, you call, hey, you know, I applied for this apartment. I was just trying to check up on it. Oh, you got denied. And then that's it, you know? Yeah. Instead of going into the details of what you can do to get approved, because at the end of the day, everybody needs somewhere to stay. Right. And for the most part, sometimes those things can be figured out, sometimes they just can't. But I do what I can on a daily basis to make sure that people are treated equally on an equal playing field when I'm interacting with them in those type of things. Right. So whoever wants to ask or answer.
I'm not going to go next. I'm going to let one of y'all go. But I will say this, dealing with people that are not of, let's say, of our race, we will go to them and pay full price. And we still, somehow, I'm sure this ties into the Willie Lynch letter. We will go to them and pay full price, but when we go to our own people, we ask for a discount or the hookup. I do it based on the relationship I have with an individual. Because let's say if you sell French fries and I come and I'll be like, what's up, you got a special today? I may ask you, do you have a special? Or I may say, is this buy one, get one free? But I'm going to spend money with this person because this is my person. Yeah. But if you've never been to this establishment and let's say she does hair, go in there and pay her fee, because you will go and pay these people gladly what their fee is, and you'll give them a tip. You won't even tip her. So I just want to throw that in there before we start talking
That's
about
accountability
IPD,
too. That'll work.
I will say this though, working in retail and stuff, I understand what you're saying about like the hookup and stuff. Like now I will, because we was talking about bargain shopping, so I will ask people, what are your specials? Like, do y'all have any whatever? And that ain't like the hookup, but I know like that. You know, other cultures will do that too, but I definitely think it's about your approach and, like you said, like how your relationship with the people and everything.
Right. Okay.
As for the specials, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just have the same energy. It's what I'm hearing. Like, if you ain't gonna ask McDonald's for it, don't go ask them for it. But where you will ask the person for it, if they got the type of shop where they're bargain, like a car salesman.
Right.
Like, whether it's black or white, you're gonna try to get it down. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. As far as accountability, gosh, the main thing I will say is my finances, because I try to read and I listen to music. I listen to a lot of Jay-Z, and he talks about financial freedom a lot.
I like his 444
financial wealth, and I've taken accountability for my finances and my credit and all that. I wish I would have done more earlier, but I believe that will set up my family and friends. Like it's really a unselfish thing to do. People will look at you like you selfish, but if you put yourself in a really, really good financial situation, you can help way more people than you think. Ruining your credit is the worst thing that you could do. And fighting out of it is really hard. So besides what I do, like in my personal life, as far as accountability, I think for my culture and my people, that's what I do first. But then after that, I think me taking accountability is my accountability. Like, I try to take accountability for everything now. In my wrongs, I try to right them. And like, if it ain't that big of a deal, I try to let it go. You see what I'm saying? Like, I've lost a whole lot, you know, with my, like, being right sometimes to us as black people is more important than the relationship that you have. And I've been working on that. It still seeps out, but it's like, once you notice it, then that's when you trip. You see what I'm saying? Whatever come natural, you know, even as feelings, like, I tell anybody, never be mad. I don't care what it is. Like, I don't bother people about how they feel. It's what you've done. You see what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have to do that. Because, I mean, even child molesters, for some reason, they feel like it. You ain't messed up in action until you done that. Now, you need to seek help and see why you like this. But it's a unnatural feeling. Right. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's what I take accountability for, like the whole board. Like, I'm literally trying to think about everything before I do it now.
I think that's good. Yeah. I'll try to be the same way.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Mine is probably kind of like Brandon's, except for the financial part.
You gotta work on it. You gotta work on it. Your fight ain't mine.
No, but I mean that as anybody that knows me knows that I'm very prideful, like very. And sometimes I'll put myself, like in the past, I've put myself in bad situations because because I'm trying to help somebody and I don't want to ask for help back, or I need something, but I just don't want you to have nothing over me. Like Brittany asked me for some money. Like anybody knows me knows that I
Can I butt in on that? Like, what is that? Like if somebody helps me and like people say you throw it in my face, like I hear that all the time, and it's like, no, like reminding you, like if when you needed me, I was there, like in case you forgot. You see what I'm saying? Like, it ain't never like for the most part, ain't never like a you owe me. It's just like,
I think it depends on the person.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, that's
I'm
what I'm
talking about.
saying.
I'm talking about me.
Right.
Like most of the
Yeah.
time when I bring these things up, it's like you throw that on my. No, I'm just simply reminding you that who was there for you when it was me, and I'll do it again in a second. And I hear that a lot with us. That's why I said we too prideful to ask for help, because you deal with people throwing in your face or even not throwing in your face. Like it's a struggle, and it's like
I think it's the
sometimes
truth.
you have to be
Yeah.
reminded.
I mean,
I think it's the truth.
Can't believe I made it. Yeah, it's a celebration. Cheers to a new day. Turn the music way up. Hands up, everybody dance. It's a celebration.